Good morning. Oh, good morning. Thank you for attending another webinar in our New Mexico Recovery Series. The focus of the series is economic recovery and resources available to help you grow. My name is Jennifer Myers. I'm the statewide disaster recovery coordinator. And once again, we're recording this session and we'll send out the slides as well as a copy of the presentation to everybody that's registered. So feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation. We've allotted some time at the end to address some questions. So let's go ahead and get started. I just want to take a quick moment to mention the 7 disaster recovery coordinators. Each region has a disaster recovery coordinator and are available to assist businesses, local governments, and communities. If you would like to reach out to your coordinator, their contact information is listed on the slide. The Business Recovery Grant Program, which was formerly the Leader Recovery Grant, the deadline for applications is approaching. December 7th is the last day to submit an application for this grant opportunity. There's still funding available for the program, so please take advantage if you're eligible. To apply, just click on the link provided on this slide. So if you don't know if you're eligible for that program, the Business Recovery Grant Program, I'll be hosting a webinar featuring the New Mexico Finance Authority. If you'd like to learn more about eligibility requirements, grant calculations, eligible uses for federal funds, sorry, my dog just decides to shake really loud, eligible funds uses, so please plan to attend. So save the date, November 7th at 10 a.m., so sign up to register. The New Mexico Economic Development Department is hosting another event tomorrow. NMSU is providing on-site energy efficiency assessments for business, industry, and government agencies. The program is focused on reducing energy uses, related costs, as well as promoting the installation of renewable energy sources as where applicable. My colleague Felicia DePaula will be broadcasting live with NMSU, who will be conducting an energy efficiency assessment at Taos Mesa Brewing on November 4th at 9 a.m. If you've heard, the governor has unveiled the new 20-year strategic plan that will guide economic investment in New Mexico and deliver a more robust and resilient and secure future for all families. I've outlined a couple of the key findings from the survey that was sent out. And as you can see, there's issues regarding population growth, skill set mismatch, more focus on rural and underserved areas, and targeted investment. If you'd like to read the 406-page report, you can access it on the top link on the slide. If you'd like to read the summary, just click on the link below that. Now, if you'd like to get an overview of the statewide strategic plan, the findings, the action items, plans to attend the New Mexico Economic Pathway Forward webinar. The New Mexico Economic Development Department Secretary and Deputy Secretary will be giving an overview of the State Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or SEDS. So details to come. There's also be another webinar that'll go over the same information, but will be specific to legislators, and that will be on the 19th. So I know I covered a lot of different information. So how do you stay up to date with all these programs and webinars? As I mentioned, just sign up for a wrap-up. We list all our events and other resources that can help your business recover and grow. So with that, I will go ahead and transition the presentation over to the SBA. Shelley, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Did you share your screen?
I am going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
And make you the presenter.
And what screen do you see?
I see the SBA screen.
Okay, good. Okay. Good, thank you. Good morning, and thank you to the New Mexico Economic Development Department for participating with the Small Business Administration of New Mexico. Today's webinar will cover the programs offered by SBA focusing on the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, also known as EIDL. My name is Shelley Brown. I'm the Lender Relations Specialist of the New Mexico District Office. This presentation will provide an overview of SBA's current programs and should be able to cover most of your questions. We will allow time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation, and we'll address the previously submitted questions at that time. If your question is of a personal matter, it is best that you privately email us at the email address that's on the screen now. And then again, I'll present this email address at the end of the presentation. Information on this training is not intended to be legal or accounting advice. This is educational overview of the information as we understand it at this time. If you're a member of the press, information provided today is off the record and isn't intended for educational purposes. Reporters can contact our office directly to schedule an interview. So again, welcome. My name is Shelley Brown. This is our contact information for the New Mexico District Office. 248-8225 is our general voicemail. You would just call, leave a voicemail, and generally I'm the one that will answer and return those phone calls. You can go to our website at www.sba.gov/nm for information and ongoing information of training and so forth. And then our email, direct email, is newmexico_do@sba.gov. SBA cannot do our job without the help of our local resource partners. And introducing those resource partners, the first one is the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. They're there to assist you at no cost to provide you with assistance on anything on your business, whether it's a startup business, reinventing your business, helping you with your business plan, projections, cost of goods, something along that line. The SBDC is there to assist you. They also have some great information on their website. You can go to their website at www.nmsbdc.org. The second one of our resource partners is West. West is the Women Business Center. They also have counselors to assist you, and they also have an incubator site in the city of Albuquerque. You can go to their website at www.west.org. Both the SBDC and West has information on any of their upcoming trainings, which are generally webinars at this time, and at little or no cost. One of our other resource partners is SCORE. SCORE has mentors to assist you in all aspects of your business, and they are available at www.score.org. They have some great training that they did in the past that they're just videos you don't have to sign up for. You can look at them. They also have a lot of templates on there, whether it's business plan, projections, anything along that line. So their site is an excellent site. And then the last one for the veterans is the Veteran Business Outreach Centers. And you can reach them at www.nmvboc.org. So again, we could not do our jobs and assist all the businesses in the state of New Mexico without the assistance of our resource partners. If you are not in our state of New Mexico, you can still find local assistance with the SBDC SCORE, Women Business Centers, and the VBOC. If you go on to sba.gov/local assistance, you see there, you put in your zip code or the city, and you can either find a local SBA office or a resource partner. We're going to start out with what are the funding options that SBA does have available. So the first one is our flagship loan, which is the 7A loan. This is loans that up to $5 million, and you can use the funds for working capital, equipment, expansion, to purchase an existing business, and you can finance a variety of business purposes, working capital, and so forth. These are not direct loans from SBA. It is a lender loan, so you would apply for the loan through a lender, and the lender will decide whether or not that they need the backing of SBA. SBA guarantees that loan for the lender. The reason why that a lender may choose to use SBA backing on this is if there's maybe some weaknesses in the file, and weaknesses meaning a collateral shortfall, or you don't have enough money to put down for a new business, something along that line, to where the lender would be more apt to make that loan if SBA will guarantee that loan for them. We are underneath that 7A umbrella is a 7A Express. The Express loan is a loan where the lender, we give them the authority to underwrite and make that loan on the behalf of SBA. The nice thing about the 7A SBA Express loan, this loan is, you can use it as a line of credit. So if you are interested, and I believe that every business should have a line of credit in their back pocket. So an SBA 7A Express would be a good fix for that. So if you're a business and you don't have a line of credit, as we've seen in the last 2 years with this economic downfall, a line of credit would have come in very handy. So this is, again, a lender loan. You would apply for that loan through the lender, and then the lender would make that loan to you. Also available are microloans. So we have micro lenders in the state of New Mexico and throughout the country. These loans are $50,000 or less, and they are approved through the micro lender. The approved micro lenders in New Mexico is the Loan Fund, and you can reach them at loanfund.org, O-R-G. And then West is also one of our micro lenders. So that, again, that's West, WESST.org. And then we have the 504 loan. The 504 loan is for long-term assets such as real estate and some equipment. This is up to $5 million. This is a two-part loan. The first loan is with a lender at 50% loan to value, and then the second could be up to 40%, and that is backed by SBA, and that's through a certified development company. You can find out about those programs on our website at sba.gov/New Mexico NM. And then we have the disaster loan. Even though the EIDL, which I'm going to cover in detail, that goes under the disaster loan, but for the longest time, SBA has been overseeing the disaster loans when, like Hurricane Ida, Katrina, when those hit, those are declared a disaster. So SBA has done disaster loans for those areas. Now, because of this pandemic, the disaster, of course, reached across the country. So so under the disaster loan, you have the regular disaster loan, which is one of the natural disasters, and then of course is economic injury. Now, under the funding options during this pandemic, the Congress came up with this Payroll Protection Program, PPP. This is closed. Funding is not available. There's no more funds available, so it is closed. However, there's still some active PPP loans out there. Again, this is a lender loan. It is not a direct loan from SBA. You had to use 60% or more for payroll in order for this loan to be 100% forgiven. The remaining 40% or less could be used for expenses. On this loan, there is no collateral, and it can be 100% forgiven if you've used the funds properly. If you have a remaining balance or an amount that was unforgiven, the interest rate is 1%, and the note term is 5 years. So important details on the PPP is that you must apply for forgiveness. It is not automatic, and you apply for forgiveness with the lender that issued the PPP loan. The majority of lenders are accepting applications through their website. So if you've not received a link from them, you should go to their website and look to apply for forgiveness. You have 10 months after the covered period to apply for forgiveness. If you do not apply for forgiveness, you must begin making payments on your PPP loan to the lender. The process of the PPP loan is you, the borrower, applies with the lender that issued the PPP loan. The lender then has 60 days to review that loan and any supporting documentation. Some lenders have signed up for our direct forgiveness through our portal. So a lot of times you may receive a link from the lender, and that portal will link you directly to SBA's direct site. Once the lender receives that, then they review it, and then they issue the decision to SBA. So the lender reviews the forgiveness application and any supporting documentation, and then submits that to SBA for review. SBA then has 90 days to review that. What SBA will do then is review the information and send the forgiveness back to the lender, either in whole, which is 100%, or partial, or for whatever reason, it could be denied. Then the funds are sent to the lender. It's 100%. The lender applies that to your balance, and then the loan is paid in full. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan, also known as EIDL. This is a direct SBA loan. You can use it to cover operating costs. The interest rate is 3.75% for small businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits. It is a 30-year loan and collateral may be required. Payments are deferred and the loan is not forgivable. So what's different about this loan than the other loans? The funds come directly from the U.S. Treasury. You apply directly to SBA's loan programs. You can go to disasterloan.sba.gov. There's no cost to apply. If you are receiving phone calls or emails indicating that they can apply for you for a small fee, be on alert that there's a scam. I've talked to many borrowers that this has happened to. If they receive the loan from SBA, they sign an agreement paying whomever, let's just call them the scammers. They pay the scammers a portion of their disaster loan. Again, let me remind you, this is a loan, so you are making payments back. So you're actually paying somebody just to get the word out that there is a disaster loan. So be very aware of that. You do not pay to apply for this loan. There is no obligation to take the loan if offered. So if you've not applied, it's best that you do. If down the road you decide that you don't need the funds, you do not have to accept that loan. The maximum unsecured loan is $25,000. Applicants can have an existing SBA disaster loan. That would be one of the loans from any natural disaster, and you could still qualify for an EIDL loan, but the loans cannot be consolidated. So the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL, provides economic aid to businesses experience a temporary loss of revenue due to COVID-19. Applications are being accepted through December 31st, 2021, or until funds remain available. As of today, right now, there's plenty of funds available. The loan is calculated based on a 24-month economic injury. The maximum loan amount is $2 million. If you previously received an EIDL, you may be eligible for an increase. However, do not apply for another loan. If you apply for another loan, it will just delay everything. You must request an increase. You can either do that by the loan portal, go to the loan portal to request an increase there, or you can email us at COVID increase. I'll give you the email. It's not COVID increase, but I'll give you that email. And then this loan does carry a 24-month deferment period. However, keep in mind that interest is still accruing at this time. I have a lot of borrowers that are contacting me thinking that when they got the last year it was 12 months, and then it was recently extended to 24 months. They thought for 12 months there was no accruing interest at all, that it was interest-free. That it's not. It is a deferred period for that amount of time. However, it's still accruing interest. So here are some basics on the economic disaster loan. What kind of small businesses can apply? Restaurants, retailers, hotels, manufacturers, owners of rental properties, wholesalers, anybody that's a Schedule C. If you're self-employed, you're a Schedule C, and it's just yourself, you are eligible to apply for an EIDL loan. You must have a physical presence in a declared disaster area. Well, we know that the whole United States is considered a disaster area. You must not use a PO box. You must have a physical presence. So what is the criteria for a loan approval? You need to have a credit history that's acceptable to SBA. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on a few slides. You must have the ability to repay that loan. And then you must be located in a declared disaster area, which we are. You have suffered or likely to suffer a substantial economic injury as a result of the disaster. Must be independently owned and operated businesses. Do not have credit available elsewhere. The size of the applicant alone without affiliates must not exceed the size standards for the industry. And the size of the applicant combined with its affiliates may not exceed the size standards. And you can find the size standards on SBA.gov. So the benefits to a small business owner, one is the repayment. Borrower-friendly terms, so again, it's at 30 years at a low interest rate. These result in a reduced repayment burden relative to market options, particularly for the microloan COVID idle. And when we say microloan, that's under $25,000. So generally, the monthly payment on $10,000 is $46. So you can see that is an affordable monthly payment. There's flexible use of these funds. You can use it for any of your small business needs, which includes making debt payments on debt accrued before or during the pandemic. We just recently changed and updated this to where you could not use the idle loan funds to pay off any existing debt. You could make your monthly payments on it, but you could not pay. You can now do that. So you can use it to pay some of your business credit card balances, to pay wages, your rent, and your cost of goods. So it's working capital. Applications less than 500,000 to be eligible, you must have less than 500 employees, a credit score of at least 570, and evidence of being in or invested or launching a business by January of 2020. Any loan that is under $25,000, you can use a mobile friendly, and it should go a little quickly. However, I still suggest that everybody use their laptops or PCs. The economic injury formula is the annual revenue minus the cost of goods sold. Multiply that by 2. That is your maximum eligible loan amount. Applicants can borrow up to the eligible loan amount up to the current 500. Again, these are for loans for 500 or less. So for example, you have your 2019 annual revenue, you have $200,000, and your cost of goods was $100,000. So you subtract that out, now we're at $100,000, you multiply that by 2, that is your maximum loan amount, which would be $200,000. Documents required will be your federal income tax or your business financial statements, and IRS 4506T. A 4506T is an IRS form that allows SBA to obtain your tax transcripts. We cannot continue and close this loan until we do receive transcripts from the IRS. Any loan over $200,000, you will be required to have a personal guarantee, and then SBA may request additional documents from you. For loans over $500,000, the main difference is a few more documents will be required, and you must have a credit score of at least 625. SBA will underwrite your loan and provide you with the opportunity to choose your loan amount, which must be equal or less than the maximum eligible loan amount calculated by SBA. So when you go to request, you can request the amount up to $2 million. We'll still look at it and determine what your maximum loan amount. It may not be $2 million. It may be $1 million. It may be 500. But anything over 500, SBA will calculate that amount for you. We'll perform a cash flow analysis for your business to confirm the ability to repay the proposed idle amount. Again, the deadline is December 31st to apply. So make sure that the sooner the better, because if funding does run out, then you will not be considered for that loan. Again, a cash flow analysis will be done. So the required documents would be a business financial statement, federal income taxes, again, that 4506T, which is key. A little tip on the 4506T, it is very, very important that you fill that out the way you filed your taxes. So the address that you use to file your taxes on that year 2019 is the information you need to put on the 4506T. If it does not match up, the IRS, not SBA, the IRS will return that with no record found or errors. So it's important that you fill that out correctly to save you a lot of time. And I have to commend the IRS for doing that. They, instead of just sending out random information, your personal information, they want to make sure that everything lines up and it is correct before they release any information. Again, any personal guarantees for owners of 20% or more. You will need a SBA Form 2202, which is a list of liabilities, any list of real estate owned, and any additional requested documentation. So what are the collateral requirements? The idle loan over $25,000 will require collateral, and SBA will take real estate as collateral when available. That's business real estate, not your personal real estate. SBA will not decline a loan for lack of collateral, but requires a borrower to pledge what is available. Ineligible uses of the loan: repair or replacement of physical damage, refinancing long-term debt, paying down or paying off loans that are owned by the federal government, including an SBA. So if you have a USDA loan, an SBA loan, you cannot pay that loan down or pay it off. You can make your monthly payments on it monthly, but you cannot pay it down or pay it off. Payment of any part of a direct federal debt, except for IRS obligations. You cannot use the funding for relocation, and you can find any other ineligible uses of the funds online at sba.gov/idle-EIDL. So here are a few tips. We strongly suggest that once you registered, you download and print out the application. Get familiar with what is needed and do it manually and then submit it online. We want you to have the complete application up front. If the application is incomplete, we will set it aside and you will be notified what is missing and you will fall back into the queue. If more funds are needed, applicants can submit supporting documents and a request for an increase. If less funds are needed, applicant can request a reduction in the loan amount. So let's say we come back and you have an approval of $500,000 and you decide, I don't need that much. I don't want to make 30-year payment on that amount of money, but $250 will work. So you can always request a reduction. If the loan request is denied, the applicant will be given 6 months in which to provide new information and submit a written request for consideration. Some of the common reasons the loan is denied is maybe a low credit score. So if that's the case, you have a low credit score, it's best that you review your credit, look at it, see what you can do to increase that credit score, and then come back and ask for a reconsideration once that credit score goes up. Do not apply more than once. If you make an error, you can always get that corrected. Applying again will not resolve it. I had somebody apply for an idle loan 14 times. She would apply every week. It's not instant. You're not going to get, like the other day I went to Sam's Club and they said, hey, you could save $30 if you sign up for this credit card today, and before you leave, you'll get an approval. We're all used to that. We're all used to getting quick turnaround and quick approvals. This is not an instantaneous. So once you sign in, you're not going to get an instant, hey, congratulations, you're approved. Do not reapply if you're requesting an increase. You can go into your loan portal and request an increase through there. If the loan portal, for whatever reason, is tied up and you're unable to request that increase, then you can email us. Make sure you request a specific loan amount and input this into the comment section. When in doubt, apply. The targeted idle advance. The target idle advance, similar to a grant portion of the idle. However, there's a few things that you need to know about this. Last year, if you applied for the idle, you were able to receive $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. So if you had 20 employees, you got a maximum of $10,000. If you had 3 employees, you received $3,000. This targeted idle advance will balance out any previous idle advance given to you. So if you did receive $3,000 and you qualify for the targeted idle advance, you can receive the additional $7,000. If you receive the $10,000, then you don't qualify. So it'll balance out any previous idle advance to the full $10,000 if your business is 1, in a low income community, 2, suffered greater than a 30% economic loss, and 3, you have 300 or fewer employees. Those who applied for an idle advance last year but did not receive the funds due to lack of funding will receive the full $10,000 if they meet the requirements. Most everybody that applied last year, they received the invitation for this idle advance, and there should not be any of those outstanding any longer. Then we have the supplemental target idle advance, and this provides aid to the smallest and hardest hit eligible businesses with the supplemental payment of $5,000, which does not have to be repaid. Additional funding if the business is, again, in a low income community, suffered a 50% economic loss, and 3, you have 10 or fewer employees. So that would be an additional $5,000 onto the $10,000. When you apply for your idle, it'll ask a question, are you interested in the idle advance? You should put yes. And then at that time, we will calculate if you are eligible for the targeted advance and then the supplemental. And this is how if you go to our website at www.sba.gov/disaster, you will come to the targeted idle advance. Down here by the red arrow, it says check this map. You're going to check to see if you are in a low income community. So you check the map. This is what the map looks like. Up where the red arrow is, that's where you would put the address of your business. So if you are a business working from your home, you would put your home address. This is the information that's on your returns, your tax returns. If you have a business located outside your home, you would put that business address. This will determine if you're in a low income community. Everything in the purple, as you can see on the key at the side, anything in purple, that is considered a low income community. Anything in the yellow is not. When you put in an address, it'll come back and say yes or no. To apply for the disaster loan, you would go to our disaster loan portal and you will see this. First thing you need to do is register. So you're going to register using your username and password. Keep that password handy. Keep it to where you know where it's at, because to get it reset, or if you get locked out, then you'll have to call our customer service to get them to unlock it. You'll get to this screen. You're going to want to apply online. You're going to select your business type: sole proprietor, corporation, partnership, LLC, etc. Make sure that you are indicating that it is the economic injury, so the idle. Put in your state and the county, and then the disaster declaration. You'll receive this. You're going to certify that everything that you're providing to us is truthful information. You're certifying that. And then any required documents you can upload through the portal. You will come to a section that will ask questions. If you've had a bankruptcy, if you had any outstanding judgments, criminal offenses, had any federal guaranteed loans, delinquent on federal taxes, if you work for the SBA, or you've been debarred from doing business with the government, you need to answer those questions. Make sure that you go through there and actually read those questions, yes, no, and mark them appropriately. There is a question in there about child support. Are you past due on child support? A lot of people will just rush through. If they put yes, then all of a sudden it'll come back, you're not eligible for the targeted idle advance, and you'll get a denial on that. So make sure that you double check everything. Another one that is, are you a US citizen? People just go through and they just answer no, 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 no on everything. One being, are you a US citizen? And they put no because they didn't fully read everything. And it comes back and says you're not a US citizen, you are not eligible for the advance. So make sure that you read those questions thoroughly. This is where you're going to upload the documents. It's best that you identify what those documents are in your computer, browse it and upload it. Most everybody knows how to upload. Again, if you have trouble with this, we do have our resource partners that I mentioned in the beginning that can assist you. Once you submit everything, it'll come back with an application number. It'll say application number, as you can see in the circle, has been submitted. If there's any messages to you, you can go back up to the message center. Again, this will just say that it's been submitted. It will not come back and say you've been approved. So here's some information to know. Approvals, again, they are not instant. SBA will contact you via email if any documents are needed, and you must submit the documents within 7 days, or you may be withdrawn for consideration due to lack of communication. So a lot of times we'll reach out to you and we're going to ask you for your taxes and a 4506T. If we do not hear from you, we may withdraw that loan from consideration. At that point, then you'd have to email us for reconsideration. There is a time delay when you send in any information to us, about 14 days for SBA to receive the documents and upload to the system. And then again, there is a time delay for the IRS to send those transcripts to SBA. So when you submit the 4506T to us, we reach out to the IRS, we place the request for the transcripts, and then the IRS will submit those back to us. Again, there is a delay on that, and of course there is a huge backlog with the IRS. You can always stay connected with SBA. SBA has a Facebook, so facebook.com/SBA.gov, Twitter at SBA.gov, and then to sign up for our newsletter, you can go to www.sba.gov/updates. You can stay connected with the New Mexico District Office by subscribing to our newsletter, and that would be any upcoming trainings that we may have, any new programs that come out. If you're interested in this, I strongly suggest that you do this, because anything that we have tomorrow, we're having a veteran conference, and that's free of charge, and you can look that up and attend online. To subscribe to that, www.sba.gov/updates. New Mexico has its own Twitter account, so it's twitter.com/SBA_New Mexico. You can email us again directly at newmexico_@sba.gov, or you can call us 248-8225. And then for any of the economic aid programs, you can go to SBA.gov, coronavirus relief, SBA.gov disaster, which is the disaster loan and targeted advance you can read about. And then for all the SBA programs, the lending programs, the contracting programs, the surety bond programs, is SBA.gov. And then again, this is the New Mexico District Office, our main line. The main line seems a little tricky because we do give a lot of information on there. And then once the information is over, that's where you leave a voicemail. A lot of people think somebody's going to answer. It is not. It is a voicemail system. So keep that in mind if you need to call us. And then again, I do want to mention, if you have a specific concern on maybe your EIDL loan, if you have an EIDL loan and you're requesting specific information, we are not going to take those Q&A at this time. I strongly suggest that you email us at newmexico_do@sba.gov, or call us, which generally it's going to be me that's going to call you back or answer your email, and I will look into those concerns for you. So with that, I can turn it back over to Jennifer.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, that was a great summary of the different programs. There are a couple of questions that came up. I am going to mention this one. I don't think you quite know the answer, but one person had asked, are there any plans to reinstate the PPP program? Have you
As
heard?
of now, no. Of course, those are done through, they're introduced through Congress, and then it's signed off by the president. But no, there's no talk of them bringing out another PPP.
Okay, gotcha.
Nor is there talk right now. There's not talk right now of extending EIDL beyond December 31st. But you know, things change. Things change.
Exactly. I know it's hard to predict. One question is regarding the idle like collateral. So if somebody got a loan for 30,000 and they have to provide collateral, but if they pay it down to under the 25,000, do they still have to provide the collateral, or do they have to, can they remove it?
SBA will take a UCC filing at the time of that loan for anything over that amount. If for whatever reason you need a subordination or the release of collateral, you need to reach out to the disaster center customer service and work with them. But it will remain on there. It will remain on there. Same thing with if you, let's say you had a loan for 250,000 and you paid off 100, your payment will remain what it was at the beginning of the loan. It will not adjust to that lower amount.
Okay, that makes sense. And another question about collateral. The personal guarantees, is that for businesses and nonprofits? Do nonprofits get an exemption for the collateral?
That's a good question. I believe nonprofit. I'm not 100%. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, that somebody had to guarantee it, but I don't quite remember if that's 100% correct. So I'm going to have to look into that.
Sure. And just so
I can
everybody
get that
knows,
person and I can email them directly.
right, I was just going to say, I will all the specific questions that people are outlining that we will not mention today. I will make sure that SBA receives your question and your email addresses.
Okay.
One kind of general question I don't know is what's the difference between the idle and the supplemental target advance?
Well, the idle is the loan. You must apply for an idle loan. You don't have to accept it, but you must apply for it to qualify for the advances. And the advances, we don't call them a grant because any type of federal grant works differently, but it is generally a grant. You don't have to pay it back. So the advance is 10,000, and then the supplemental is 5,000. Now there was a question that came through that was earlier. If you can receive more, if you receive the idle advance, can you receive more? No. The maximum is 15,000. The 10 if you qualify for that, and then the additional 5 if you qualify for that. But that's it. That's the maximum.
Gotcha. Okay. And there's a couple questions about the low income areas. One person had asked if it's across the street, can they still be eligible even though the income area is on the other side of the street?
If the mapping comes back, because that mapping is from the census. So if the mapping comes back, even if it is across the street, and across the street is considered low income and you are not, then no. And in addition to that, I've had many people come back and say, well, I'm an Uber driver. I drive in low income areas. I should qualify because I'm out and about in these areas. But no, that does not qualify. Same with a business that assists people in low income communities. No, that does not qualify. It is where your business is located. If the address is your home address, it's that address. If it's a business address, then it's that address.
Right. There's a couple people have asked about the recording. Yes, I'm recording this session, and everybody that's registered for this event will receive Shelley's slides as well as a link to our YouTube channel to watch the recording. There is another question about the LIDA program that I mentioned. I would suggest that person attend the webinar for the Mexico Finance Authority on November 17th to discuss qualifications for that program.
And some of the questions that came in prior to, there was a lot of requesting about grants. So the only quote unquote grant on SBA side is the idle advance and the supplemental. But do not overlook economic development because, as Jennifer mentioned early on, that they do have some grants available.
And we'll be doing another webinar. We have another person said, what if the first idle loan was denied? Should I reapply?
If you've overcome the reason why it was denied, then absolutely. You need to, whenever it's denied for whatever reason, and sometimes it could be something as you'll get it, and this is pretty generic, but it will say unverifiable information. A lot of times, the IRS comes back and says, no record found. So if you did not file taxes, you filed late, something along that line, we cannot verify it. So therefore, we will send you a denial letter saying unverifiable information or insignificant credit, something along that line. You have the opportunity to correct and overcome those objections, and then yes, reapply for reconsideration. The address is on the denial letter.
And there's just a lot of questions about checking the status. What's the best way to check the status on various loans?
Well, the customer service, you can check the status. A lot of people think that they apply today and they should know next week. They won't. You won't know that quickly because the IRS can't even return something back that quickly. So again, it's not going to be a week. Sometimes it's 14 days or longer. I do have the ability to look up the loan. So again, email the information or call me, and then I can work through it to see what the status is.
Okay.
But customer service should give you an update. And that number is 800-659-2955. That is a disaster center customer service. Again, I don't have access to the origination portal, but I do have information. I do have access to like the backside of the portal.
Okay. On the calculation for the idle increase amount, is that based on the 2019 income?
Yes.
All right.
So we're going to request your 2019 taxes, and then we're going to request a 4506T to receive those transcripts. It is very important when you fill out that application that you just don't guesstimate, because if people just put in some random numbers and then we get the transcripts back from the IRS and they just don't line up. Well, now we have to do a lot of investigating or verifying or detail on that. So make sure that you just don't put in any random numbers. You put in your numbers on what you actually filed for that year. If you've not filed your 2019 taxes, just expect everything to be delayed, because we're not going to issue a loan if you've not filed taxes, because we use those taxes to validate the fact that you are a business.
And then if I speak Spanish, how do I get assistance?
We do have a Spanish speaker in our office. And so if you call and leave a voicemail, then we transfer that voicemail over to her, and she calls you back. So we do have somebody in our office that's Spanish speaking. If you contact the customer service, you can request a Spanish speaking person.
Great. Well, let's see, there's another one. What's there? Okay, so was there a mention that the SBA portal does not have the accurate status of existing applications? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that's referencing.
Well, a lot of times people will go into the portal, and that's another thing, they'll check every day, which I think that you're just driving yourself crazy by doing that. But sometimes it will have an update. Sometimes if there's no update, that just means we're waiting for something. We're waiting for the transcripts, and then it will go to the queue. Once it goes to the queue, it's not assigned to somebody right away. It's in the queue to be assigned. Then once it's assigned, then if any trailing documents are needed, that person will reach out to you directly, generally by email, sometimes by phone.
All right, we have a really great question that came up. For a faith-based nonprofit organization such as a church who does not have income taxes, what documents are valid?
Oh.
We have to get back to you. I have his email address.
Yeah, that one, that's a specific one. I don't know what's being accepted on that.
Okay. That is the last of the questions. Feel free, we have an expert on the line, so feel free to submit some additional questions. I'll wait a couple minutes. Shelley, would you like to introduce Scott while we have a little time?
Does Scott have capability now?
I don't think he can speak, but we can at least introduce him, I believe.
So we do have on the line, we have our White House, SBA White House liaison, Scott Hereford. He is on, he's having technical difficulties. Otherwise he was going to jump on and say a few words, but I think he's unable to do so unless he was able to call in. Let me give him a moment just in case.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, yay.
Oh, there he is. Hey, welcome, Scott. Welcome.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Thank you very much, Shelley, for that great presentation, and Jennifer, thank you for this opportunity. Just wanted to give a brief welcome on behalf of the SBA Administrator Guzman, and our New Mexico District Director, John Garcia, and his team. Just wanted to thank everyone on the call, from business owners, community leaders, to our partners and state and municipal government, and just to thank everyone for the work that they've been doing, the adjustments that they've made through the unprecedented times that COVID has brought upon us. But Shelley gave an overview of all the resources that the SBA has, and we just want you to know that the SBA is here to partner with you all and to help you weather the storm. So thank you for everything.
Thanks, Scott. I'm glad you're able to come on. It's always fun, these technical difficulties. Shelley, there's just a couple questions about, applying. Can you just go over how you apply for the EIDL Advanced and increases again, briefly?
So the EIDL Advance, to apply for the EIDL, you would go on sba.gov/EIDL, create the account as I showed you, and then apply for the EIDL loan. Now, there's some people that have a low credit score and they do not qualify for the loan. However, they are a valid business and they are in a low income community and they are eligible to receive the advance. So just because you don't qualify for the loan or you decide that not to accept the loan does not mean that makes you ineligible for the advance. But you do have to apply for EIDL in order to be considered for the advance. And then what was the second part question? I'm sorry.
Sure. No, it requests an increase for EIDL.
Okay, so increase, you should be able to go to the portal and request an increase. A lot of times it may be grayed out to where you're not. And that could be if we're waiting on, if you've already closed your loan last year and we requested articles of incorporation or minutes or something along that line, and you did not send in any trailing documents back to SBA from your first loan, then you won't be able to go through and request an increase until we basically close out the trailing documents that are needed to close that out. So if that's the case, then you will need to email COVID. It's a long one, so let me see. Let me write it down. COVID. Let me quit sharing my screen and look it up. Right, you cannot see my screen any longer, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, let me look up the correct email address. Sorry about that.
No, and we can, and Shelley, I can work with you to include some of the email addresses within when I sent off the registration information. If that's
okay.
helpful.
So, okay, so if you go into the portal, if you're unable to request an increase through the portal, which you should be able to do, but if not, then you would need to request an increase via email. And in the email, you put in the subject line the application number, not the loan number, the application number, and what you request the increase to be. and you send that to COVID, COVID, idle, EIDL, increase, requests with an S at the end. So COVID, COVID, EIDL, INCREASEREQUESTS at SBA.gov. So that's the reason why I couldn't remember it. I knew it was a long one. So COVID idle increase request. If you're unable to go to the portal and request the increase through that, you need to send an email.
Perfect. And it's probably, there's one question that is probably going to be similar to the PPP funds. Are there any developments on the RRF, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund? Have you heard any inkling of that getting replenished at all?
No, and I have not heard Congress talk about it. I've heard where groups are lobbying for it, but as of now, there's nothing active.
Okay, that was I assume. And so I think they're asking about all the different programs. Have you heard of any other programs that have exhausted any funds that are possibly getting, like the shuttered vendors as well? This is the same thing.
No, shuttered venue is closed. Shuttered venue did have where somebody could, if they received one, then they could request an increase. But as of now, no, that's done as well. That's over. The funding is not available for that. RRF and SVOG, those funds are depleted. Same with PPP.
This is a good question. How do you remove duplicate applications?
You cannot. If you're talking about idle, we mark them as duplicate, but that's really what slows down the system. So as I mentioned earlier, the lady that applied 14 times, that means we have to review 14 applications. Even though they're marked duplicate, we still have to review them all. So it does slow down the process. So do not apply more than once. And I get it, you know, again, because we're in this right now world that we're living in. So I get it. We're used to instantaneous, but this is not one of those.
Right.
Think back when you purchased your home and you received a VA loan or FHA loan. Those are government-backed loans, and you know, those were not quick either. But if you purchased a conventional loan and you had your 20% down, 30% down, whatever, you got those much quicker than a government-backed loan. So put it along maybe the side of that.
Yeah, just patience. I think we're wrapping up. It's about 11 o'clock, and I think we've gone through the majority of the questions. The other ones are pretty specific. I want to thank you, Shelley. This was very informative, very interactive, which I enjoy. And we're getting some thank yous. So I appreciate SBA participating. This was great. I will forward on the questions to SBA that were asked in the chat in case they want to address them. And a lot of thank yous. So I'll go ahead and oh, very well done. We're getting good feedback, so this is good. So I will go ahead and end the webinar. And again, Shelley, thank you so very much, and thank you for participating.
Oh, thank you, and thanks to Scott and the New Mexico Economic Development Department for participating with us. We appreciate it, and our all the small businesses that are making a positive impact on our economy. We appreciate all that as well.
Great. Yes, thank you, Scott.